So let's talk, because you're on a spiritual path and sometimes we can end up going round and round in circles without anything really transforming inside of us, can't we? These patterns in our mind can keep repeating and this negative mentality can continue for years and years. Nothing seems to transform, but the outer world is always changing. So I'm going to give you a bit of a breakdown of the difference between transformation and change in this video, and I'm going to show you how to make sure that you're creating transformation and what's operating underneath the surface so that you can make sure that that transformation is lasting and creates peace and joy in your life moving forward. So one of the eternal laws of nature is what? Well, it's that everything is always in a state of change, isn't it? Your emotions, your identity, your body, all in a state of change. The external world constantly in flux. You can guarantee that in this world, everything will change. But that doesn't mean that it will create transformation. Transformation is created if we're willing to co-create with the change that's occurring instead of resisting. Now, what you resist will persist, and that which you avoid, you cannot know. And so part of the path is only unlockable by being willing to co-create, to stop resisting the changes that are happening in your life and actually use them for your highest development and create transformation. So now that we know that, what is operating underneath the surface? How is change created? Well, in the yogic tradition, we have the Panchabhuta. Pancha means 5. It's one of the yogis' favorite numbers. And Bhuta means element. So there are 5 elements. Very similar to the Chinese tradition. But we're not going to dive too deeply into the actual elements themselves, apart from the fact that we are going to talk about fire. Now, fire or heat is a very transformative element. And in fact, is a technology. Humanity would be nowhere without fire. It was the best blessing of technology for us in our evolution, wasn't it? But fire creates transformation. Heat creates transformation. You only need to look at the different states of water to understand that. When you apply fire or heat to ice, what does it do? Well, it transforms it into water. It changes its state. So fire transforms states, okay? And of course, if you apply fire to water, it turns into steam, doesn't it? It turns into a gas, from liquid to gas. So we know that fire is definitely powerful. It transforms the states of different elements. And our body, of course, is like what, 78% water or something? I don't know what the science is. So for sure, fire is something that we need to work with because it's a transformative element for water, and it's a transformative element because we're mainly water-based in us. Okay, great. So we know that fire is transformational, but that doesn't really help us, does it? It's so abstract. So how can we generate fire? Because obviously we're not lighting a fire on our chest hairs. That would be masochism, wouldn't it? So what sort of fire are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the fire of tapas. Now, in the yogic tradition, we have a technology called tapas. Tapas, unfortunately, is not the nice little picky bits of Spanish food. That would be so much easier, wouldn't it? If we just could eat patatas bravas and that would transform our lives, that would be a very easy journey. And I'd sign up for that. But no. Tapas is translated, I would say, in a few ways. Austerity, discipline, but a translation that I'm really feeling into lately and that can be really good for us in the human realm right now is moving through hardship. The ability to use a hardship to transform ourselves rather than just resist the hardship, you see? So when we're in discipline with our sadhana is your daily spiritual practice that generates this heat inside that purifies your elemental body. And if you want, or I've never heard of sadhana before, feel free to jump on the channel. There's loads of sadhana there. If you want a deeper dive, you can sign up for level 0 of the Freedom Blueprint, all of which is free. Level 0 of the Freedom Blueprint is an initiatory process into the spiritual dimension of the yogic tradition, and I've made it for you. Really excited about it. It's very in-depth. If this is something that you're wanting to do because you want to understand your inner workings a little bit deeper, or you want to understand the spiritual path and how it's working, then by all means, that's the thing to sign up for. But sadhana is going to generate heat. Yeah, it's going to generate heat in your solar plexus, and that will burn up your impurities. Now, and that will leave you so radiant inside that you are just able to bless life, and you're just going to feel really, really good inside. So tapas is the discipline of moving through austerity or hardship. Sadhana is your daily practices, which is hard to do. You have to cultivate discipline. You have to cultivate tapas in order to do your sadhana every single day. But that generates heat. So change will only become transformation because we're willing to co-create with life. Now, if you're still stuck on the manifestation hype spirituality, then you will understand this term co-create to be talking about manifesting your best life. But I'm not talking about that. If you've done enough work on yourself, what you'll realize is your karmic lot is your karmic lot. You're going to attract and receive into this life whatever it is that you're going to attract and receive for the highest evolution of your soul. There's no trickery and there's no manifestation techniques that are going to change that, because what you need to receive and what you need to grow through is the theme that you're here to look in your life and move through for your soul's evolution. So we're not looking at co-creation from the perspective of I'm going to manifest my desires. No, what we're talking about is you co-create with the experience that you receive. And what that means is, haven't you noticed, a lot of the experiences or some of the experiences you receive, you don't prefer. So we have to go a little bit beyond what we prefer in order to be able to do the real stuff, isn't it? And co-creating with what you receive in this life is about dropping the resistance to the internal fire that's created through your preferences and not receiving that which you say you would prefer. And this is how our mental patterns begin to dissolve, because all of the mental patterns that we're experiencing in our mind are an avoidance of this. The mental patterns are coming out of the resistance to whatever it is that I'm experiencing in the external world, or whatever fire or pain there is inside of me that I'm also resisting. So to co-create with life is to stop resisting the fire inside, blend with it without the mental story or the mental patterns inside, which are further in resistance to what's happening. Do you see? Now, sadhana helps us do that because it creates a good feeling sense inside of ourselves. But also there's a sadhana that's off the mat too, and it's in co-creation with life, meaning I'm going to meet what is inside of me because it must be destined for me, and then I'm going to use that as nutrients to bless the world, should you wish. Okay, cool. So that's change and transformation, and that's fire. This is how we're building such an energetic frequency that's so strong that this internal fire in time is going to completely dissolve these mental patterns, because ultimately what we're aiming for through this process is liberation of our soul, is freedom. And freedom doesn't come by resisting what is, isn't it? That's rejection. So that's definitely not freedom. That's bondage, because it keeps us bound. Cool. So then let's take this off the mat and have a look at a system that we call Pancha Agni. Again, Pancha there, right? It means 5, and Agni means fire. So there are 5 fires that we can use inside of ourselves if we're willing to burn with them internally in order to purify ourselves so that we create or reveal radiance within, which of course will dissolve these mental patterns that we've been talking about. And the first one is anger. So the Pancha Agni, the 5 fires, these are 5 fires that we're really wanting to be with. Because when you feel anger, what do we want to do? We want to project it outwards and shout at somebody else, don't we? Even if we're angry from our own thing, maybe. It's so much easier to blame somebody else, isn't it? And what this internal fire is saying is, can I stay with that fire of anger? Let it rise to my face in red heat and then let it dissolve, rather than going into the mental patterns, which are just an avoidance of that internal fire, and then creating stories and creating blame and creating projection. Oh, it's someone else's fault. You see? If we can be with this, this will begin to dissolve that one inside and purify ourselves. Another fire is lust and desire, isn't it? Now, we're not asking you to repress yourself in any way, shape or form. Lust and desire is clearly something that's natural in our life. But if we go too hard into lust and desire, think about masturbating If we do that too often, we numb ourselves out to life and we reduce that radiance that we're trying to cultivate and create. But if we're willing to be with this desire and this feeling internally, then we can actually transmute it into more aliveness in the system rather than taking an action to express it into the external world, which will completely numb our system out. Another fire is the fire of criticism. We are so weak nowadays, aren't we? We can't take criticism at all. Even if the criticism is justified, we go straight into the mind and start telling the other person as to why they're wrong and why their criticism is wrong. Even though most of the time it probably isn't, it's fair and just and reasonable. But we can only know if the criticism is fair and just and reasonable if we're willing to actually sit in the fire inside of ourselves that criticism has created, isn't it? It may well be that they're projecting something at us, but we won't know that unless we sit in that fire, get really clear about what's going on here, and then we can isolate these things, can't we? And say, no, that's just a projection from you there. That's your fear that you're putting onto me. But actually, there is a little nugget of what you've said there that's true. So then I can take that tasty little nugget and use it and assimilate it into my system so that I can create transformation for myself and begin changing that within me that's in resistance to this one. See how this is all starting to set us free so that the radiance of our soul can emanate a little bit more, so that we're not stuck in these mental patterns anymore, which are just defensiveness. We're just defending ourselves from feeling these things, which is kind of crazy, really, isn't it? The next purification fire is hunger, isn't it? You know, whenever your tummy gurgles because you're hungry, we want to resist that and fill our tummies up straight away, don't we? But that little gurgle there is purification. But the feeling of hunger does create a little bit of a fire inside. And the question is, am I willing to be with that fire a little bit before I stuff my face full of food? That will certainly create transformation. If you fast, that will also transform your cells as well and begin healing through the process of autophagy. So it's really powerful that the yogis realized this thousands of years ago, and now they're just giving it to us now. And our science is just about catching up and going, you should fast, bro. Okay, then the final fire. This is the fire of knowledge. This is an interesting one, and it catches all of my Western students out every single time when I bring it up. The fire of not knowing creates a burn, doesn't it? If you don't know the answer to something, it creates a burn. And we're so quick to go to ChatGPT, or we're so quick to go to any of these AI providers, or it used to be Google. Not anymore, is it? Used to go to Google to try and get the answer. Gosh, I feel old now. But when we do that, we start outsourcing our internal wisdom to whatever it is that's giving us the answer back, be it AI or be it Google. Basically, multinational corporations, isn't it? And so what this fire is asking us to do is sit in the fire of not knowing and trusting that what is needed to be known for my life will be revealed to me from within as and when, in divine timing, I'm meant to know it for my life. And that is a fire to burn with, let me tell you. Good. So that's transformation versus change, and showing you how the fire, the technology of fire, the technology of heat, or tapas through sadhana inside of our system is allowing us to become free and radiant inside, because we begin dissolving these mental patterns from this internal fire that we're generating. This will set you free. And if you enjoyed this video, the YouTube algorithm reckons that you'll really like this one next.